Now, a lot of times when you bring in a picture, it comes in very large, and that's why I was in this view. Sometimes you don't want it to be this big, so we need to maybe crop it or change the actual dimensions and size. Another thing you're going to notice, again, is our new Picture Tools tab. Again, because we inserted a picture, we're decided to display this new contextual tab with a plethora of options that we can pick from. We can adjust it, changing all the color, artistic effects, etc. about our document. I mean, look at the choices we have. Who needs a fancy camera anymore? Because Word really is so powerful. You can change the saturation level. You can change the tone of your picture and even recolor it. I mean, this is really fantastic. So whoever said Word was boring, Word is great. Let's pick a something that we really feel is powerful. Let's go with this one. And let's talk about resizing right now. When you grab onto your mouse, make sure when you resize that you have the double-headed arrow. And if you want to keep things consistent, as in making sure that it doesn't alter the dimensions as far as the shape, always hold your Shift key down when resizing. And that's a good thing to remember, not just now, but always. If you want to create a circle and you want a perfect circle, use your Shift key. If you want to resize something, hold your Shift key when dragging so it doesn't stretch it out of proportion, and that's really important. Other things you're going to notice is the cropping tool, which is on the ribbon as well. Suppose you really just wanted this section of your picture. You didn't need the entire thing. Well, turn on your cropping tool, and again, pay attention to the cropping marks on your screen. In order to crop your picture, your mouse head style needs to look like this. And all we're going to do is bring it in, bring it down, and bring it in. Perfect. Now, doesn't that look a lot better? Another tool that I just want to show you is a way that you can change the dimension and alter the picture on your screen. Suppose you wanted to turn it clockwise or even counterclockwise. All you need to do is grab onto the green handle that appears on the top of your picture and move it. That's fantastic. The next thing we're going to talk about is how to insert clip art, which is a little bit different than inserting a picture. Let's start a new page. So I'm going to click on our document, Control Enter to get a brand new page. In this next example, let's insert a clip art. Now, clip art allows you to search for any type of picture or media file that you're looking for. Remember, it's not going to just search pictures, but maybe illustrations, graphics, video, and audio. So these are all the different types that you can search for. Suppose I just want to search for illustrations and photographs about the sun, because we know we want to incorporate some idea of sun as our logo in our document. We click on Go, scroll down, find the beach chair that you like, and it automatically brings it in. A nice feature as well is this whole navigation pane that appears for the clip art. When you're done using your clip art, simply close it. Again, resizing it and doing anything else that you may need to. In order to demonstrate how text wraps around images, we need to open up a file that contains some text. So let's go to File, Open. And I'd like you to look for a file called, again, I'm going to sort so everything floats to the top. It's called Final Newsletter for LearnKey, Demonstrate Text Wrap Around Pictures. Perfect. Make sure you have the right file and open. Okay, this is a newsletter, something we've been working with the whole time, and we realized that it looks okay, but it would be better if we incorporated some images, some pictures. So let's bring in some images and watch as the text wraps around and how we can alter. So where are we going to go? We're going to place our cursor in our document, click on Insert, click on Clip Art, and type in the word computer. Click on Go, we could either insert it or copy it. Let's click on Insert. As it automatically comes in, we're going to close out of our clip art pane, since it takes up a lot of our screen, and now glance at our document. Well, it looks okay, but notice how the text doesn't wrap around. It kind of just is on the bottom. Well, what I want to show you is something called wrapping text. Let's look at our ribbon and notice our picture tools. Under Arrange group, we have something called wrapping text. Now, what I usually like to do is something called tight. And what tight does is it actually takes your text and brings it as close as possible to your image. And again, we do have the live preview, so feel free to look at all the options: in line with text, square with text, tight with text, through, top, bottom, etc., etc. So you have the ability to pick and choose any one you want. For this example, I think the square looks best because the computer has a square look in the image, and that looks great. Terrific. The next thing I'm going to do is go to my Insert tab, the Illustrations group, and click on Chart. The one thing I want to remind you before we actually click on the button is that sample text will appear as soon as we insert that information. So what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to replace the sample text with your real text. Let's look at some varied options: column charts, line charts, pie charts, bar charts. I mean, you can pick and choose anything you want, and you know what? It really does look like Microsoft Excel because it's so sophisticated. What we're going to pick is a standard column chart and say, okay. Watch your screen. You automatically have a split screen. On the left-hand side will be what your chart will look like, and your right-hand side of your screen will be all of your rows and columns and where you're going to enter your data. So in our scenario, instead of having category 1, 2, 3, 4, we're dealing with the 4 quarters because we're doing some analysis. Now, just like Excel, we notice that we can increment using our autofill handle. Quarters 1, 2, 3, and 4. Again, you don't have to type. On the top, we're going to be talking about sales for a series of years. Again, I'm going to remove what's there, and I'm going to type in year 2000. Grab onto my autofill handle and reach to the right. Perfect. Then I'm going to select the data and simply replace it with the real data. Again, I'm just putting in fictitious numbers just so you can get a feel for what your chart will look like. Notice as it's building the chart as we type. This is, again, a live preview. Great. Now remember, any change you make to your chart data will automatically be reflected in your chart. Now, if you want to change the entire layout of your chart, you might want to choose the Quick Layout button, which is located on your ribbon. Maybe you want to include your data. For instance, this I find is really helpful because not only do you have a pictorial view of your chart and all the information, but you have the actual figures that appear on the bottom. So please take a moment and browse all the different types of charts, different ways of selecting your data, and different chart layouts and styles to pick from. No one ever said Word was boring. Look at this. I like that last one. It looks nice. Suppose you decide to format your paragraph and your text in a certain look, and now you want to save that look. Well, that's easy. Let me show you how to do that. Let's select this particular area, and let's make some changes to it so we know that this is our look and our style. Suppose we want it centered as opposed to justification, and suppose we want to change the color of the font. Great. Now this is our new style that we may want to use over and over again. So select your text, make sure your cursor is inside that area, and what we're going to say is save selection as a new quick style. All we have to do is give it a name, I'm going to call it Mandy's quote, and it's even displaying what it's going to look like. If I want to alter it, I can modify it if I want to. When I'm done, say OK. Terrific. So now, if you decide later on that you'd like to use that font again, or that style again, I should say, we're going to select some text. We're going to change some styles this time. And we're going to apply a style and look for Mandy's quote. Excellent. And close. Now, wasn't that easy? So you now learned how to create a style on your own, give it a name, and actually how to reapply. Let's talk for a moment about the reference tab. The first group in the reference tab is called Table of Contents. Let's place your cursor exactly where you want it to appear in the beginning of your document. A lot of times I also use a page break at this point. So I'm going to do Control-Enter to make sure that your table of contents appears all by itself on the page. Now let's analyze the document. We notice that we have some heading 1 styles applied. Now let's add a couple more heading styles so when we create the table of contents, we can really see the effectiveness and also the hyperlinks to the page numbers. So our heading 2 will be some Hawaii vacations, and of course, Aruba is always fun. So let's select the 2, move over to our styles, and apply heading 2 style. Great. And let's do the same thing under family-friendly vacations. And we know that Florida is always a fabulous vacation for the kids, and the Grand Canyon. So what you're going to notice is that a hyperlink has now been created. Notice if I select my table of contents, automatically it says Control-click to follow link. Well, I'm going to do exactly what it told me to do, Control-click. Wasn't that fabulous? So that's a hyperlink where you automatically can jump to another document, or in this case, another page inside our document. So don't forget, if you ever want to work with table of contents, you must make sure that you create your styles, apply them to your headings, and insert the table of contents. Remember that if we do decide to add additional pages to your document, you must update the table of contents. It doesn't do it automatically. So always remember that F9 will be your update table of contents function key shortcut. So at any point at all, if you want to double check and make sure that the names of the headings correspond with the page number references, press the F9 key on your keyboard. You can either update just the page numbers, or if you've made changes to headings as well, you can update the entire table. So the choice is yours. Excellent. Since we are talking about hyperlinks, I think this would be a great point to talk about in further detail. Let's go over to our Insert tab. And let's just examine for a moment some of the links available. We're going to do a hyperlink. Well, the first thing you want to do is place your cursor where you want the hyperlink to appear. So I'm going to go to the very bottom of my document. Click on Insert, Links, and Hyperlink.